wife would have let me know.
Yes. All right, I think we're ready to start.
1, 2, 3.
If you're all set, Wayne, everybody online set? All right, we're gonna begin the July 21st, 2026 meeting of Andover, Connecticut Planning and Zoning Meeting. And we're gonna start with our public hearing. All right. Okay, well, I guess we'll, our guest tonight is, you could announce your name.
Yes, good evening. My name is Michael Healy. I'm with the BSC Group, representing heating contractors on the special permit for an accessory structure at 12 Center Street in Andover Rural Design District. It's assessors parcel map 33, block 29, parcel 3. It contains about 0.644 acres in size. It's founded on the north by state of Connecticut, the rail trail, south by Michael Miller and Cassandra Lee Tempone. It's west by Yvonne Bain and south on Center Street. So it's across the street from the old firehouse. This is a site that Eden Contractors purchased, I think, around 2022, maybe. It was an old dilapidated house that was about 11 feet from the property line, right near the existing dwelling of his own Bain. And it's about 22 feet from the center of the road. So Eden Contractors obtained a variance to a rear yard and a front yard setback so that they could tear down that house and put up a new structure. It did take them quite some time to tear down the old house. I think they took it down piece by piece and salvaged, I think, whatever they could out of that for lumber. And then they got a permit. And the permit was submitted at the time. I think he always intended to have an in-law apartment in this, but at the time, the zoning regs were a little bit unclear as to how to move forward with that. And since the zoning reg changed, I think in 2023, I think it was, it became more clear as to how to approach that. It was initially submitted as a 5-bedroom design. He's restructured the house plans to a 3-bedroom with a 1-bedroom in-law. The house is, the structure exists. It's already there. There's absolutely no changes to the structure being proposed. There's no changes to the site being proposed. That, other than what's been already previously approved. The net difference is that, he falls in that category with that 1-bedroom with a kitchen and a separate bathroom. That falls in that category as an accessory ADU. So we're therefore here for you with a special permit with site plan review. And we've submitted the house plans and the site plan. As I stated, that there's literally no changes whatsoever. I changed the notes on the design criteria for the septic system, and that went to the health department for review. They've approved it. I don't know if you're going to ever have a somewhat simpler application than this. Yeah, it's pretty basic, I think. So, with that, I'll leave it with any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say, all the health department, the checklist, um, elevations, looking back at what was originally submitted, it was originally submitted, with an accessory apartment that was taken out. And turned into a, instead of a 4-bedroom with accessory apartment, it was 5 bedrooms. Now it's going back, it's the exact same elevation, exact same floor plan, except over the garage is now devoted to an accessory apartment. The site plan is essentially the same as what it was prior to this. Not much in the technical details has changed really, except the upstairs to accessory apartment. I did do a walkthrough. And there's stairs on the inside from the apartment. And or through what's proposed as the apartment. The inside of the garage, correct?
That's good.
Yeah. And 2-car garage. And both that stairwell to the accessory apartment also opens to the outside. You can see it on the elevations there, the people door next to the garage.
So your
The site's been cleaned up and graded, looks a lot nicer now than it did a couple months ago. Weeds are down, junk is gone.
So emergency egress is of the back.
I honestly don't know what the building code standards are for that. I couldn't tell you, it's typical with a dimensional from the door. Like for instance, like I renovated an old colonial and they specifically were looking for the distance to the nearest exit as to whether or not it needed a secondary night, and it turned out it didn't need it. Okay, so. But that's not my area of expertise, so.
I was gonna ask that too.
Yeah, do we know about emergency egress for an apartment like this? What the regs are?
You mean 2 exits?
Yeah, do we need 2 exits on this?
That'd be a building department requirement, wouldn't necessarily be a zoning requirement.
Right.
I can tell you, I have an accessory apartment in my house and there's only 1 exit. Well, what used to be an accessory apartment, now a master suite.
Okay.
It was an accessory apartment when I bought it,
Right.
a legal one.
Yeah. Yeah, the unit I was talking about is much larger from a second floor perspective. It has
Matter of fact-
one means of egress.
Matter of fact, the access to the accessory apartment that was in my place is very similar to this. It had a people door to the outside and a door from the garage into that same stairwell. Stairs are gone now. Don't need them.
Yeah, they typically need like egress windows, I think, you know,
Well, that's for basement, like basement room, right?
or I'm not sure, like the size of the window, you typically need a certain size, and most windows in a house like this comply with that.
Okay. When does building reg get a chance to look at it? Did they already assess the plans and approve it?
Like that, I don't know.
The building department has only seen, as far as I know. Well, the building department, no, they wouldn't have seen this yet. But the accessory part, building department has seen with a bedroom
Yeah, okay.
and the same set of stairwells and the same everything.
Yeah.
John or Wayne, do you know if, I know that house, the septic and the well has not been used in, 25 years. Is there any reason or regulation that says that they need to get those inspected to make sure that they're clean and
Yeah,
working?
this would be they would be required to file a B100A change of use permit through the health district, and so the health district would determine if they needed to do any testing or clean out of the system. That would be a public health code matter.
Forgive me, no, this is not, this is new construction.
Oh,
This
excuse,
has-
I'm sorry. I thought that you were okay.
This
Sorry.
new construction has the site plan has a proposed septic system and a proposed well. We're not reusing anything from the original.
Right, the health department has signed off, the B100A has been issued. So,
Sounds good.
So we're still not sure if there's any,
I see, if there is, if there is that problem and it's brought up at the building inspector, then I would expect. Michael here is gonna give us a new floor plan to accommodate that.
Right, so, right, the builder will have to comply if he wants a CO. And, if it has an effect on the site plan, then, which I don't think it would, but that's something that could be modified.
And does the building as it exists now have the sanitary and the kitchen facilities in it?
No, it's only framed, there's no plumbing in there
Okay.
at all.
Yeah, no, I was in it, it's just framed, no rough plumbing, no electric, nothing.
No, nothing.
so when, were you talking about what we were talking about another way of egress?
If you remember, back to Hearst, there was only one access to that too.
And that was internal?
No, it was external. This is both.
Okay, I thought you were saying it wasn't necessarily both.
Yeah, it is, if you look at the elevations here,
Yeah. I just wanted
this
to-
door goes directly to a stairwell that goes up to that accessory apartment.
Okay. I thought we were saying that there wasn't necessarily one. But there is.
Exterior.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's right there, it's there.
Okay, that's why I thought we got started talking about the building official, but, okay.
And what unit was the property owner gonna occupy?
The main house.
Okay.
What was that answer, Jed? I couldn't hear that.
Oh,
He's gonna occupy the main house.
And if you'd like, can you, just let the board know why, the owner's not here tonight? I think it,
yeah, the owner is a pastor and he has frequent evening gatherings. And so he's making a presentation tonight and he told me he's gonna be tied up until 9 PM tonight. So,
I think that we need to make it clear to all the people that are building all these market rate apartments that they need to be owner occupied. I don't think that that's clear to everyone.
that could be a condition on the, special permit, or reiterated,
Certainly very clear in the regulation.
right? But that could be incorporated into.
Yeah.
Conditions if the commission sees fit. And I would remind the commission that whole Center Street is. A lot of them are all rental units. For what that's worth. Duplexes and more.
Yeah.
Well, it's not out of character for that section of town, let's put it that way.
Any
The
other questions?
regulation does say what it says.
Sorry. Any other questions? All right, hearing none,
I don't know if the neighbor wants to say anything.
oh, I'm sorry. Uh,
Mr. Miller?
yes. Would you like to say anything?
Nope, no questions here. Just very
Okay.
interesting seeing this whole process.
Okay.
Fair enough. And I think that's it. No other questions being heard. Our public hearing is now closed. There was no written statements, right, Wayne?
No,
Fair enough.
no, nothing, absolutely nothing.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Any public input, correct, but any public, any written
There was no
comments for the
No
record?
written comments and there's no one else online and
No.
no one here. So I think we're good to close the public hearing and move on to our regular agenda. So thank you very much for the presentation and we'll be voting. You're welcome to stay.
We take, they'll be possibly considering this at the regular meeting, which is coming up right now. The commission can push it off, or they can take it on, today. Generally, that's what they do.
How big's your agenda?
Great. All righty. So we'll start the regular planning and zoning meeting at 7:17. We're gonna have a roll call. Brendan, myself, Patrick Doherty, Leanne Hutchison, Jed Larson, Jay Kamens, and Scott Person. And also present is our town planner, John Guskowski, and Wayne. How do you still,
Osachik.
Versace? Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Under commission discussion,
Yes,
I would like to add another item, and that's feedback from the recent Alcoa meeting.
call that item C, 8C. Alcoa discussion. And I would like to add item D, which is find another alternate. Any other additions? Hearing none, moving on to public speak. Anyone from the public? I think Mr. Miller. Anyone have anything to talk about other than what's on the agenda? Moving right along. On to old business. Oh. Discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
Second,
Any conditions, Jed?
It might be redundant, but I guess I would add the condition that the owner must occupy one of the dwellings.
First.
For our
For
regulation.
regulation. I can add that to it if that's what the commission wants.
You already seconded, Leah.
yes,
Okay. Um,
I'll agree if I need to the condition,
you wanna amend that to the condition? Okay.
yes.
My question is that I don't know, is is there a limited time on that, or is it it's just our regulation as it stands, correct?
That's our regulation as it stands. We might talk about that a little bit when we get into the Alcoa discussion, but
Okay.
there's a segue from that, but
Okay,
How about, consider this for your motion that we, just state as a condition that the owner must occupy, and I don't know the exact number of regulation, but per annual regulation, blah, 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 as amended from time to time. That way, if it goes away, it doesn't, if that regulation goes away or gets changed in any way, it would still be applicable, I guess.
Wait, hold on. I just want to clarify what, we may want to take a look at the specific regulation that Wayne is referencing. The question at issue here is whether or not there'd be a requirement for the owner to occupy either the principal or accessory unit. Is that the question?
Right.
So
No,
I
that's
don't,
fact.
okay, right. But so I don't think you can bind a person against future changes to the regulation.
Exactly, no, you can't, no.
Right, okay. I was worried that that's what you were saying. Sorry.
No, that's not what I was saying. I was trying to find a way of saying it that if that regulation changed, then whatever changes are made would be applicable.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good. I'm glad I misheard that. But I don't think that that's a condition you necessarily need to add to the motion.
Okay. Just making a suggestion.
Marty?
Yeah.
We have a motion.
We have a
second.
Yeah,
A
second,
second, with the reinforcement of the occupation. Okay. Jed,
aye.
Leanne,
Aye.
Jay, Scott? Your audio's not coming through, but I saw the
Yeah.
waving as an aye. And aye for myself, motion passes 5-0-0.
Good.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
So, Michael, it doesn't become effective until the special permit is filed. You'll be getting some you and Naheem will be getting. We'll be getting the correspondence and inviting you to come to the town clerk's office and file it. All right? Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. New business. I don't have anything listed. There is no new business. All right.
No, there's nothing on the docket as far as, special permits or anything like that that need to come up.
Great. All right, we'll move right along to correspondence. Would you like to go first, Wayne?
I know I often say there is no correspondence because a lot of the correspondence is junk, so I don't bring it up. I don't have any correspondence that I can think of.
Do we have any correspondence from John?
I have nothing for the commission's review at this point.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to commission discussion. Agenda item number 8. Okay. Let's go right into it. John, would you like to take it from here with item A?
Sure. So I'm putting up on the screen. Hopefully you guys can see it. Wayne was good enough to do an excerpt. I had done a markup of the full set of zoning regulations. I previewed this a little bit at the June meeting last month. So as you know, the state passed Public Act 25-1 in November of last year that mandated that all municipalities make certain changes to their zoning regulations relative to multifamily parking and what's referred to as middle housing, which is housing units that are between 2 and 9 units, specifically in commercial or mixed use zones. And those mandated changes took effect as of July 1st. And so all municipalities are strongly recommended to adjust their regulations to reflect these changes. So I'm going to go briefly through just the portions of the regulations that I propose Andover change as a result. I'll be happy to answer any questions or discuss this, but I think ultimately what we would look to at the end of this discussion would be a decision for the commission to move forward with a public hearing and a formal public hearing process to consider adopting these amendments or something like them into its zoning regulations. So these are the proposed amendments per 25-1. First, in the table of contents, we'd be proposing to add one new section called middle housing, new section 4.23, and we'll get to there. So this would be section 4.23, which would be a specific set of standards and requirements for middle housing. And again, this would be just those housing, multifamily housing, small scale, 2 through 9 units, that would be allowable via site plan in the business district, which is, portions of Route 6 in town. And so these would be the standards. And based on the way the town regulates other both residential and commercial uses, we rely principally on bulk and loading standards, which is, setbacks, height, lot coverage. We don't do a lot with design standards. So this is an effort to comply with the site plan requirement of the state statute, but reflect the relatively light touch when it comes to the town's concerning itself with design. So I would propose that there would be a minimum structural setbacks for these. Again, this would be middle housing developments, which could be, again, 2 through 9 units. It could be, a duplex. It could be a cottage cluster. It could be townhouses. The statute is clear that it could be any one of those forms. So just applying a front yard setback of 50-foot minimum, side yard of 25-foot minimum, rear yard of 50-foot minimum. If there's going to be multiple structures in the same development, say you're going to do 6 units total and over 3 duplexes, there would need to be a 25-foot separation in between structures. Similar to most commercial or multifamily or residential structures, the maximum height would be 2.5 stories or 35 feet. Impervious coverage on lots should be 50%, which is basically echoing commercial development standards. I did add a minimum landscape buffer with evergreen plantings, a minimum of 5 feet tall, and a minimum thickness of the planting of 5 feet in width along the side and rear property lines, or a fence to create a year-round visual buffer between properties. So to create a little bit of separation between commercial uses and residential uses. And then going into maximum building size and architectural design elements, which the town already has in its regulations. So I designed this to be a very simple, very efficient set of regulations that basically reflect the established commercial development pattern on Route 6 and make reference to existing regulations relative to architectural design elements. So I tried to keep it simple, not overthink it. We can come back to this in a bit, but I just want to go through the rest of the regs, the proposed regs. Then we get into the parking table. So this is under section, I don't remember what the section number is for parking. But it's a parking table, the number of mandatory spaces for any, given use hotel, you need 1.2 per guest room. We have a minimum and a maximum. So the new state regulation, the new state statute eliminates the mandatory minimum parking, on-site parking for residential developments under 16 units. So single family, two family, and small multifamily cannot require mandatory minimum on-street parking or off-street parking, I should say. So I changed the single family residence from 2 to 0, two family residence from 4 to 0, and accessory apartments from 1 to 0. And hopefully we will not be alarmed by this. It's particularly in a community such as Andover, which is entirely dependent on single driver vehicles. We don't really have transit. We don't have a train station. We don't have, a lot of bus lines. The market is going to provide for parking. If you're building an apartment, if you're building a house, you are going to provide a parking spot for yourself. So I don't think this is something we need to worry about. Therefore, it is also not something that we need to worry about eliminating per the state statute. Similarly, in multifamily residences, condos, apartments, townhouses, etc., as well as middle housing, and which is the new category we're adding, I reflected the state standard, which is no minimum for 16 residential units or fewer. For more than that, there would be a requirement of 1 parking space per studio or 1 bedroom apartment, or 2 parking spaces for a 2+ bedroom unit for developments over 16, plus commercial parking standards. So there could be, obviously, if you have a mixed use, you need some parking for residential, some parking for the commercial. So this is what the state tells us we have to do relative to parking. So we can discuss it, but there's not a lot of leeway here. Then when we get into the specifics of the parking, there is also a state provision that if we require a certain number of parking, let's say it's a 20-unit apartment building, 2 bedrooms in each one, that's 40 bedrooms. So we would require 40 unit or 40 parking spots minimally. The state also provided the ability of a developer to make an argument that they need to provide actually fewer. And perhaps there is a bus line in the area, perhaps it is, right adjacent to some other municipal parking facility. And so it is a waste of space to provide on-site parking for certain reasons. This allows a developer to submit what's called a parking needs assessment, which can basically make the case. It's a needs assessment that would be prepared by a qualified traffic engineer to basically make the case why they could have their parking numbers reduced. And then it allows for the process of the commission to reduce those parking numbers. And that's, again, this is also basically taken from the state law. So that's a change that we basically have to make. Next, into section 24 definitions. Again, these are from the state law. There's something called a conservation and traffic mitigation district, which is an area of town designated where the municipality can, if they so designate, can require parking spaces for under 16 unit facilities. So this is something that the town could consider, the town of Andover could consider, but right now, and that would be an area that's particularly parking constrained. And broadly speaking, if you think of an area like that, I tend to think of like downtown Mystic, Connecticut, where, you've got buildings right on top of each other, on-street parking is taken up all the time. That this is a place where you really wouldn't be able to add new housing without adding new on-street or off-street parking. Andover really doesn't have an area like that that I can picture, particularly because there is the only place that this middle housing would be allowed, this multifamily housing would be allowed, is in the business district on Route 6. So it's not particularly a parking constrained area, but the town could, if they wished, apply one of those. So I wanted to include it per the state statute. I noted that we did not have definitions for multifamily, single family, or two family. So just to make things clear, I added multifamily, single family, and two family. Multifamily basically defined as 3 or more, and the others self-explanatory. And then we added definitions for middle housing, again, based on the state statutory definition, 2 through 9 dwellings, either attached or detached on a single parcel. And then mixed use, which is, again, self-explanatory, a mix of uses and complementary uses. So, residential and retail, eating and drinking establishments, manufacturing, office, and that sort of thing in a compact village design. So middle housing can be both a standalone residential, or it could be part of a mixed use development. You could have, an office building with, 4, 5, 6 units above. So that's just definitional. Finally, under definitions, we added summary review, which basically is the term of art that the state statute is using, that the commission must apply to considering one of these middle housing developments in the commercial district, which is, again, a standalone middle housing development or as part of a mixed use district. It basically tracks site plan process, which is to say it is a commission decision, but it is non-discretionary. It is not a public hearing process. It is not a special permit process, and it does not require a public hearing. So I basically added the definition, but equated it to a site plan review process. And I believe that is it. So again, the changes are basically surrounding parking numbers and requirements, and the allowance for adding small multifamily called middle housing in the business district only. And I'll shut up there and answer any questions the commission may have.
So the state mandated the business district?
They said any business or mixed use zone. So the town of Andover does have a mixed use allowance, but it's a floating zone. It doesn't actually exist anywhere, so that doesn't need to apply. So it's just in the business district, not in residential and not in industrial. If the town wishes to go above and beyond and you wish to allow multifamily in a residential zone or an industrial zone, that's your business. In this case, the state is only mandating in commercial or mixed use districts.
That's good to know.
So John, I think, and I didn't bring my regs with me, but if you look at the business district section, it has a prohibition about putting housing in there unless that is deemed to be the most effective use of the property, because we want to keep business property for business purposes. Do we need to eliminate that?
We could, although, the fact that you essentially give yourself an out clause, opens the possibility of residential use. And then, the state requirements would just march in and say it's easier to do. But yeah, I mean, it would be cleaner. So you don't have to sort of go through that process of determining whether or not it's absolutely necessary. We could propose to eliminate that clause also. I don't think it's critical, but I think it's cleaner.
Right now, section 8.4, which is business district, the only place where residential housing is allowed is what's called a restricted tract. Which is that cannot a tract that cannot be expanded because of developed boundaries, or a small tract recorded in the land records not to exceed 1 acre may be developed for a single family residence. The commission may approve construction of single family residences on restricted tracts.
So I guess, and that would remain for single family residence, what we're talking about here, middle housing.
Right. Actually, in that case, yeah, if someone wanted to do just a single family, you would want them to have a pretty high bar to clear to allow that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could probably remain.
Also specifically as single family residence.
Right.
And the state requires that we go down to, a duplex in this middle housing.
It's
You know,
2 through 9. So yeah, as small as 2 units.
Not a fan of that, we try to go through and figure out where we want to put the businesses. Because we've got so limited space in town, and then put a duplex on that property.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me, but.
No, the other thing that, yeah, I agree. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me for the state to mandate this to happen now before municipalities even get a chance to write their new housing growth plans, which really should be more of a locally directed process for how and where we want to place this new housing. So I'm with you on that, Jed. If the town were looking to avoid encouragement of this type of housing in the business district, would be to take a look at the properties that are zoned business and maybe reconsider if we want to rezone those as more industrial or light industrial, which would be exempt from this middle housing. So
Doesn't the industrial say any use that's allowed in business, or is it the other way around?
Yeah, it does. Industrial does say that. It says any use that's allowed in the business district is allowed in the
Okay.
industrial.
So then we would probably want to change that to accept middle housing.
Okay, I got you.
That's just the industrial.
Industrially zoned land is exempt from this middle housing requirement per the statute. Unless,
Right,
unless the commission chooses to add it.
it's all Route 6 corridor, but it's the commission's. Well, obviously.
John, is that business district, is the entire Route 6 district? I mean. entire Route
No.
6?
We could, Wayne, I don't know if you happen to have a copy of the zoning map handy. I could find one with Krog.
Do we have the business district?
Yeah, I can, hang
Map?
on, let me see if I can pull up Krog's.
You have control, so.
Yeah, it's basically, all of Route 6 is split. There's some areas that it's still residential. And then the rest is fairly evenly split between commercial and industrial. Let me pull this up here. Quick maps. Control zoning.
Yeah, there's everything along Route 6, industrial, business, and residential.
Yeah. All right. Let me bring up this is the Krog parcel viewer. There may be a couple of errors in this, but it gives you the general idea. Oh, it just went away. Okay, it's coming back. Can you guys see it on the screen?
No,
Not yet.
All right, wait, I'm gonna stop and start it again.
there we got it.
Okay. So I believe the yellow is basically our residential agricultural district. Purple is industrial and red is commercial. So it would really just be the area north of 6 close to Bolton or close to the Coventry Bolton line. South of Route 6, there's a Christmas tree farm over there, and over here is Lake Street near Dollar General. On the opposite side of the street where the Extra Mart is, that's industrial, and then over here near there's at Lindholm Corners.
Yeah.
That's where it's
just
not right now.
right, and then that's really it. So those would be the areas that would be subject to the middle housing. The purple would not.
Got it. And can I ask a question on the parking?
Yes.
Page 103, just got a little confused because at first in the table that you have for middle housing, it says, no minimum. And then semicolon, and then we talk about what sounds like a minimum to me. Is it like the minimum requirement is the old? Is old and we're getting rid of that in favor of this kind of like ratio, one parking space per,
So yeah, no, so it would be no, if it's under 16 units or 16 or fewer,
yep,
no minimum would be required. If you look at the end of that next clause, over 16 units, if you're more than 16, then the ratios of one space per studio or one bedroom or two spaces per two or more bedrooms would apply to those developments over 16 units.
okay. And your reasoning for that is that you think
That's-
that if they build residential for under 16 units, then they're gonna build parking in for themselves.
My reasoning for that is because that is what the state law dictates.
Oh, okay.
And interestingly, this is a side note. The first law that was passed, they fixed this in this legislative session in June, but it actually had under 16 and over 16 were the breakpoints. So if you built a development of exactly 16, there was actually no regulation for that whatsoever. They created a hole in the donut, but they fixed that. So it's now 16 or fewer.
So technically, it's possible to build a 16 unit development with no parking.
That is correct.
You park out on Route 6.
Well, yeah, I mean, but so the interesting thing is, yeah, I mean, the state and the town, there is no corresponding regulation or law about how a municipality regulates its on-street parking. So a municipality could say, no overnight parking on street, and the state could, I don't think you can park on 6, like the state wouldn't let you. So, if someone is going to build 16 units, the town isn't going to let them park on the street. The state isn't going to let them park on the street. From a market standpoint, they really have no choice but to provide their tenants on-site parking. So it's a pretty no-brainer market solution. So it's not something we need to worry about too much. But in your developed areas, in your downtown Hartford, downtown New Haven, Norwich, something like that, someone could put in a 16-unit apartment and not provide any parking whatsoever. That is allowed now.
But the way we've got the chart now, and I don't know which columns, I think the left hand is the maximum, the right hand is the minimum. But
That is right.
Maximum parking spot are none, and the minimum parking spots are none.
Right.
So you can't our regulations don't allow you to put any parking spots in there.
No, there's no maximum. So you can put as many as you want.
No. We got these two columns, one's a maximum, one's a minimum. And if it says none in both columns,
So there's no minimum, but minimum, maximum are opposite things. So none means a different thing if you're talking about a maximum or a minimum. If there's no maximum, it means you put as many as you want. But you're not required to put in any. That's the no minimum.
but, so what are the two columns, Wayne? Yeah, I see up on professional buildings, it's got 5 and 2. I think the minimum's 2, the maximum's 5.
So we don't want you, right? We don't want you to overbuild parking in those commercial areas. The maximum will be 5. So we're not allowing you to build 6 because we don't want you to overbuild your parking. In the case of residential, people can park as much as they want.
Then we ought to eliminate it from that chart. Or put as many as you want or something.
So
but
that's what no maximum means.
I don't see no maximum, I see
Well,
none.
none. What's the maximum? The maximum is none. Oh, I see what you're saying. I could, yeah. So we maybe want to rephrase that to no maximum.
Okay, I got it.
Not applicable, NA.
Yeah,
That
that would be better, yeah.
Not applicable.
Actually, the first column is maximum, second column is minimum.
Right.
Okay, so if the maximum is none,
So it should say no maximum. It should say no maximum rather. Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's how I was interpreting that. But you're correct about the phrasing, Jed.
That's for middle housing. Okay.
That's for any residential. So we'll propose to change the zeros under maximum parking in single family residence, 2-family residence, accessory apartment. Actually, accessory apartment we can leave. But a single family, 2-family, and maybe perhaps, yeah, a single family, 2-family will replace the none with the phrase no maximum.
Okay, yeah. You know, by the way, I'm not a fan of that either, because I know there's one house on Lake Road that doesn't have any parking, and they're always on the road, and it's always hard to get around them. And, you know, it's.
Yeah.
Not a great situation.
Parking ordinance.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the town could certainly put in place a no on-street overnight parking ordinance
Okay.
to address some of those issues. But that's outside the realm of planning and zoning.
I got a question, John. The minimum lot size in the business district is 20,000 square feet.
Mhm.
So does that mean
I don't know, to anticipate your question, this does not replace any building, fire, or health code. So if you can physically not get 9 units or 8 apartment units on a half an acre because of the septic system, then you can't do it. But that's not a zoning thing, that's a public health thing.
right, I understand that. So you'd only be constrained by what you can get through the health department and the,
Correct. What you can physically get on the site.
you'd only be constrained by health and safety standards.
Correct. Correct. And I mean, you know, the commission could, again, if you're concerned about density of development, you could also, you know, change your minimum acreage for, you know, for the business zone.
Yeah.
But again, I think my sense is, and I mean, you guys know better than I do, that things don't happen too quickly in Andover. You know, we haven't been bowled over by development applications in the last, let's say, few decades. So if you get an application or two that adds some multifamily in the business zone, and you don't like the way it's going, you don't like the way it's turned out, we can look at tweaking some of those regulations. This is not, you know, this is we have to do some changes because of the state law, but you know, this is not our only shot at ever looking at these regs. So, Mr. Chair, I would say if there are no other questions, and again, I'm happy to answer further questions. I would suggest that you consider a motion to place these regulations on a public hearing agenda for consideration at an upcoming meeting.
Thank you, for your recommendation. I think so too. What does the commission think? Public hearing sounds good?
But you have to.
Yeah.
This has to go through the formal regulation making process, which includes a public hearing.
Fair enough.
This is just discussion right now.
So it would be a formal application with a public hearing.
Well, if there's any other edits or questions about the proposed regulation changes, now's the time.
And I'll give Wayne, because we're making a couple of additional changes there. Obviously, we're going to change the nuns to a no maximum, and we may and we'll probably take out the language in industrial zones that allow all uses from commercial zones. We'll add a except for middle housing into that, but otherwise it will be basically what you saw on the screen today.
Now, right, and now become the draft for the public hearing discussion.
Thank you.
You still might want a motion to do that. I don't think there was a motion.
Not yet. I make a motion to schedule a public hearing.
Second,
What date, next month,
We don't have anything on the docket yet, right?
15th of
there might-
August.
There might be a concept coming, concept discussion. Other than that, there's nothing on the agenda for August. And nothing substantive, or however you want to phrase it.
So I'd like to schedule it for August. Our next meeting date in August is, what would you say, Scott? 18. Thank you.
18.
15.
Second,
Jay seconded.
Jay seconded already. Thank you.
Okay,
It's okay. All right, let's take a vote. Jed?
aye.
Pat, Scott?
Aye.
He's got an eye. Leanne?
Aye.
Jay?
aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes 500. We'll have a public hearing next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did send you this, John.
Yes.
But. So it's nicer to have it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So as you recall, this is something that came out in some back and forth I had with Attorney Grants about the ability to compel an applicant to pay fees or reimburse the town for professional services that the zoning commission may need for complex applications. And also the fact that the state law says that we're supposed to have, we're supposed to adopt fees for application fees and whatnot, and the only application fee that we've adopted is $140 for a special permit. We don't have any formally adopted fees for other applications that we won't receive. But we have been charging those fees. So I took what fees we're charging right now and put it into a proposed ordinance for the Board of Selectmen to consider with if the commission would like to move ahead.
Do you have that to share, Wayne?
I sent it to you in an email.
I saw that, but
Wayne, if there's one of the specific things you want me to put up on the screen, I can do it.
Can you have it too, don't you? Did
Yeah, I
send it?
mean, I got all the emails you sent. Which one? The zoning fee ordinance draft, is that the one? You sent a,
Should be dated 6/24.
okay, yeah, the zoning fee ordinance draft 6/24.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, give me a second.
Wayne, did you write all of this?
Yep.
I have a question.
Okay.
I was looking at this today, on page 3, under new proposed language below. The first section in red. Where it says the language of ordinance 70-01, etc.
Yeah.
Actually, that is my question, includes a very unwieldy method parentheses, chairman of the Board of Finance, the first selectman, and the chairman of Planning and Zoning Commission are hereby authorized and empowered to establish a schedule of fees. Why would we, it goes on to say this proposal eliminates that process and vests that authority in the Board of Selectmen. Why would we want to vest all the authority in the Board of Selectmen?
Cause I don't know how we set fees using this method.
Can we just vote on them and say, yep, you're good? Yeah.
Well, you have, or some of there are some fees in the zoning regulations.
Yeah.
But the fee for a site plan application, the fee for a subdivision application, the fee for text amendment application, that's not in the zoning regulations. Doesn't exist anywhere.
Why couldn't we as planning and zoning commission just vote on this whole list that you have here? And that'd be the end of it.
That is. You need an enabling ordinance to do it. The way that the statute says that the town has to have an ordinance establishing fees.
And
Yeah.
we can't, sorry.
So the ordinance could be changed to specifically empower planning and zoning to make those changes
Sure.
more easily and on the fly. But you have to change the ordinance first.
That's a good question. I can see leaving out the chairman of the Board of Finance. I mean, I don't know why they'd want to. I don't know why they'd even want to do this, but
No, they wouldn't.
I like the idea of what John just said about. That the ordinance. Because we, as far as I know, we can't pass an ordinance, the Board of Selectmen would have to do that, but what John just said is the ordinance itself would be. That we do the voting.
And John is correct. John, you could just ask the Board of Selectmen to consider an ordinance empowering the Planning and Zoning Commission to set application fees. If that's how the commission wants to go, I can whip something up and have that for the commission's consideration. I would
It also
just,
it also depends if this is a major or a minor ordinance.
right. I was just following the existing ordinance 7001. Well, there's a building department fee ordinance 0303. Be it ordained at the town of Andover that the building department shall charge $140 permit fee and a $10 state tax fee for all applications for variance, appeal of decision of the zoning agent, special permit, site plan review, and zone changes. But we're not doing that. We're charging more than that. And I think I know how that happened, but it didn't happen by anybody changing this ordinance.
You think you know how the fees got to be higher?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it anything you want to share now or not?
I think it's speculation.
I mean, just going with inflation, they should be higher.
There should be, yeah.
I mean, and then
When,
if I'm interpreting 70-01 correctly, as long as the chairman of the Board of Finance, the first selectman, and the chairman of Planning and Zoning get together and say, okay, we're gonna have a new fee structure, then we have a new fee structure. That's the way I read that.
has it ever happened?
Well, it could, but with
I didn't get that right.
but yeah, the chairman, first selectman and chairman.
Okay,
of
so
P&Z.
the chairman had a fee structure, the finance committee had a fee structure,
Well,
they could do their thing. I just read,
uh,
chairman of planning and zoning is empowered.
I would like that as well, that I agree,
Yeah.
but I mean, the way it's written as is
Okay,
now,
yeah.
that means I'd have to have a special meeting with the chairman of board of finance and the first selectman and then,
That's the way I read it.
Okay,
okay,
The three,
then-
the three have to somehow come together and come up with a schedule of fees, which is certainly possible.
Yeah, that's not anything that.
But to my knowledge, I don't think that's ever been done. And then, but then there's a separate ordinance, 0303, which is on the second page.
Hmm.
That sets the $140 permit fee. So I don't know that those three can override. I mean, it's conflicting, it conflicts, the two conflict.
Yeah. But I agree with Leanne, I don't see why we should have to rely on the board of selectmen every time we wanna
Okay.
change the rates, but that's the way I'm interpreting it.
Okay, this is for discussion,
Yes,
so,
yeah,
So Wayne, is that the only language that you have written for fee schedule for extra engineering help?
well, the language for engineering comes in. It's, next, let's see, I should have numbered these pages, 1, 2, 3, page 4. Subsection B. Additional expenses for complex applications. And I pretty much plagiarized that from, might have been Bolton. And that gives, I'm trying to give, or asking the selectmen or somebody to have in an ordinance that the PZNC and ZBA may require payment for services performed by third-party consultants. If we have to have something reviewed by engineers or whatever, lawyers, it costs the town a lot of money.
Those towns already have this.
Yes, towns have this, yes. Absolutely.
I wrote an ordinance similar to this for the town of Essex probably 15 years ago. They've had it since then.
So I can come back to you guys with another draft that gives that asks for or that empowers planning and zoning commission to set fees for applications, for various applications. And include the language for third-party consultants.
I think that would be helpful, and I know you sent it, what, 4 or 5 other towns for comparison, so
Yeah,
I'd kind of like to have another month to look at it anyway.
I don't think we're in a huge time crunch for it, but given what has transpired recently,
That's why it's needed.
yeah.
I mean, in some cases, they were very close to the other towns, and there were a couple where there was quite a discrepancy.
Yeah, it was hard for me, I did try to put it in a spreadsheet for you guys. It was hard for me to try and get apples compared to apples.
Mm.
It was very hard.
I'd like to put together a good list of suggested fees. I think they're great. The question is, how do we go back in to make?
Right, I tried to do it in a way that was.
Right.
Not out of line with the towns that surround us.
And they're not exorbitant and unreasonable either compared to our neighbors, right? So,
Well, I'm trying to get them in line with our
Yes,
neighbors, you know,
yes. gotcha.
And again, the point of this of memorializing this is to protect the town in case somebody says, there's no statute that says I have to pay this fee, so I'm not gonna pay it.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly. Where does it say that you
Right,
can charge that for this?
right,
Right now, it says $140, and that's not what we're doing.
right.
That shouldn't be public, but it is.
So in the case that that happens, hypothetically, then we have to, we end up paying for this out of town budget.
Right now, lawyers' fees comes out of the town budget, yeah,
Yeah,
like lawyers, and if we need an engineer, if we need the town engineer. You know, let's say a road is proposed to a subdivision. That needs to be reviewed by an engineer. That needs to be inspected by an engineer. So there meets the standards that are in our regulations, I can't. I'm not qualified to pass judgment on that type of stuff.
Even the stuff as small as when you have Hank Gruner go down and check, like the bridge, he's down there, once a week. I think that the applicants should be paying those fees.
Yeah. Wetlands does have that power already. I believe wetlands,
That, I'm not sure.
I
I know we wrote it into the plan for the one, and he's getting paid, so, you know,
yeah,
I guess the applicant agreed with it, and,
well, he'd have to be paid by the town and then reimbursed. Or the town reimbursed.
So John, can you work with Wayne and get this done cleaner and expedite this whole thing?
Well, I'll have it from next meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure Wayne can get it. I'm happy to take a look.
This isn't that hard, it isn't, I mean, it looks more, I think I made it more complicated than I needed to, you know.
I think the hardest part is deciphering who actually has the authority to authorize the fee structure, right? I mean, that's, to me, my biggest question is, do I have the authority, or do I need to just get into a meeting with the chair of finance and the first selectman to do that?
I think you just email him the thing and say, we recommend approval.
And that's, yeah, I think that's what we should do that. Yeah, I agree.
Otherwise, you might have to go to a town meeting. and
Oh my
all that
goodness,
stuff.
we already have an ordinance that allows us to do that, to
Well-
set fees. So as long as if we're changing them and updating them,
I don't know what it means adopted by the town of Andover.
that was they approved an ordinance. By the time.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So that means at that time, it says an ordinance can only be approved by the board of selectmen. The Board of Selectmen approved this word.
Yeah, okay,
That's
yeah.
that's the way I'm reading it, could be wrong.
Right,
I
so
could get
the
corrected.
existing building department fee was a creature of the board of selectmen, it did not go to a town meeting. 3003 was,
Oh, that's the second part, yeah.
that was
Board of Selectmen is going to be in favor of any fees that we can get that the town doesn't have to pay for with taxpayers' dollars. So,
Okay,
Makes sense. All right, go ahead, sorry, Wayne. we didn't-
nothing, so I would just leave 7001 there. I don't know, I don't think it does anything, I don't know what it does. And just,
I'm only working on the theory that if one of our interpretations is correct, and that Leanne did say that, well, it does say those three chairs get to set the fee from 70-01. Then we don't really need to get the approval of the full board of selectmen, or a public hearing, or a public meeting, or public vote, or anything. The way that ordinance is written.
sounds better to me.
just so I'm clear, would you like to leave it that way?
That I
7001 on page 2.
unless the Board of Selectmen would like to amend that and let the planning and zoning set the.
That's where I thought you guys were going, that you would rather the board, that
If possible, yeah.
these two ordinances basically go away with a simple,
Boom, yeah,
the planning and zoning commission shall set fees for whatever,
that would be great.
period.
But my second best, this is
Unfortunately,
what we got.
7001, since that was created at a town meeting, probably
Oh, it was voted in.
only be
Oh, right.
repealed at a town meeting,
Ah,
right?
so they might not be able to amend that either.
Right. The Board of Selectmen might not be able to touch 7001. The building department fee ordinance 0303, that was a creature of the Board of Selectmen. So they obviously can change that, repeal it, modify it.
I guess someone would have to check the charter to see if, at the time in 1970, they might have needed a town meeting vote in order to approve an ordinance at that time. That may not be the fact anymore.
Right,
Which is
so
what
this would have to
discrepancy.
go to O'Brien anyway.
Okay,
Yeah, you would have to go to Attorney O'Brien.
sound good.
So, okay, I'll have it for you next meeting.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion, questions on the fee structure, request, ordinance? Yeah, Phil?
That's a good
none.
idea, Wayne and John, to be doing that. That's long,
Yeah.
we needed this a long time ago.
Agreed. Moving on to 8C, Alcoa discussion. What's going on over there?
Well, I attended the semi-annual Alcoa and Alba meeting last month, I guess, and one of the, is we were, having, everybody got to have their say, and one of the topics came up was the growing number of Airbnbs on the lake. And, we had we'd had a little discussion about this several years ago and chose at the time not to do anything about it because there were no problems. It wasn't, a big thing back then, but, the thought by at least some of the people there was that we're going from a community of neighbors to a community of short-term rental people. And that's different and not universally thought. So one of the people that was there said that, I think other towns have some regulations on how to limit this or that. And we said, well, if you can find an example for us to use as a model, we might be willing to consider that. And I haven't heard anything back on that. I don't know if John's had any experience with anything like that or not, but.
Yeah. In broad strokes, I strongly recommend that if the town is interested in putting something like this in place, it should be an ordinance, not a zoning regulation. If for no other reason, I mean, it has a little bit more weight, and it also eliminates the issue of pre-existing grandfathered uses. So anybody that had operated an Airbnb prior to a zoning regulation going into place would be able to continue indefinitely. An ordinance would eliminate that. It gives a little bit more control. I would be happy to forward you a copy of the town of Essex's Airbnb ordinance, which passed about 3 years ago. They worked on it for probably 2-3 years through several iterations, and it's decent. I mean, it reads largely like a zoning regulation, but it is in the form of an ordinance.
Okay, yeah, I'd be interested in at least taking a look at it and,
Does it require registering with the town?
It does indeed, yes. and then it requires an initial inspection by the building official and fire marshal.
That's a good thing.
We have
Jed,
that-
how prevalent is this, Jed?
Not sure. I know there's a couple, you know, I'm aware of, at least 3.
I mean, 3 altogether or 3 that are sort of becoming unofficial short-term rentals?
But, so 3 that are short-term rentals. Yeah, now, and I know the house right across the street from me was bought by a realtor to rent out, and I think that's gonna be a long-term, that the goal is long-term rental, and another house over there recently changed hands, and I don't know what the plan is there, but, you know, the flavor of the community over there might be changing a little bit, and not necessarily for the better. And I know when we were, you know, talking about the accessory units, you know, when we first put that regulation in there, you know, we started having a conversation about maybe, so you let your mom rent out the accessory apartment. And then we asked the question, what happens when mom dies? And, you know, you can't use it for anybody outside your family, and we decided to do that. My concern now goes beyond that to where somebody says, I'm gonna have an accessory apartment. And the reason we wanted the owner to live there was because maintain some quality control,
Right.
supervision over the tenants and that sort of thing. We don't have a system in place that kind of monitors the long term. Somebody can say, oh yeah, I'm gonna live here. And then next thing you know, they're not living there. And we've got a couple of rental things that, who knows what is there.
Mhm.
But, you know, one of the things that I thought was made Andover a very nice place to live was the fact that we were a very high percentage of owner occupied
Mhm.
housing. And if we start to do things that change that, I don't know that that's a change for the better. And so I just wanted to bring that to our attention. I don't know what we can do about that yet, but I think, you know, I kind of like the way Andover's been, you know. Not ready to have that change.
How does it work with, say somebody has an Airbnb on the lake? Does that mean that the people who rent it have lake access, or do they need to get a permit?
No, they would have lake access. You know,
Yeah.
put it this way, they do have lake access, whether they should or not, but you know,
Right.
that's a different thing,
But
but
they can bring the boat. from
yeah,
the river and put
they
in
bring the
water,
boats in, you know, and all that kind of
the
stuff,
stickers.
which has, you know, the problem of bringing boats in, there've been other places in, you know,
Yeah, in fact,
puts the liability for the invasive plants in, but
yeah,
you know, I have heard that, on one of the new, Airbnbs, you know, it's kind of a rowdy crowd that gets in there from time to time, and not, you know, neighbors aren't necessarily happy with it,
yeah,
so.
So Jed, are these year-round homes and where is the families or the people that live there year-round and are they, how's that working?
Well, so the newest one, you know, was, a fellow passed away, somebody else bought it, and they bought it with the intention of being an Airbnb. Because, you know, people are paying big bucks to, come spend a week on the lake.
Or apparently longer in some cases,
Well,
there's short-term
Yeah.
rentals.
well, you know, and I looked at the prices, I mean, wow, I was shocked at how much you get per week on the lake. Pretty sky high, but that's the most recent one. I know of another case where guy in town bought the house and he's using it for an Airbnb. And then another person, you know, I guess they go live someplace else now and then because they can get lots of money renting the house out. So those are the couple that I'm aware of, but that discussion is growing that maybe this isn't good for us. And I want to bring it to the attention of the commission.
Interesting.
It is.
And that's why I made a point of, on the Center Street one, is the applicant planning to live there? And, he says he is, but nothing. We have no way of knowing that he stays there. We have no way of, following up on that. And there's a lot of regulations we don't have a way of following up on. Just a question if that's what we want for the town or not.
What does Alcoa think?
They thought that was a town issue, and I sort of agreed with them.
Well, if they're not concerned about it, then
They didn't say they weren't concerned about it, they said they had no way of,
Fiction.
regulating it.
No,
How
they don't have-
they regulate what's going on a private house, it just happens, live on the lake, they control the lake, they don't control anything about the housing. That's why when we created the nutrient allocation.
No, I get that.
They asked us to, we tried to get them to do it, they said, we can't do that, that's a town issue.
Right, so it is something that Alcoa would like brought up to be regulated. They would support regulating it. That, I think that's the question.
The discussion didn't go any further than that, it was just, that's not a matter of our purview, that would have to be something for the town to consider, and that was the end.
Yeah,
of
that
the
was
discussion there.
Yeah, that probably would have to go to, I mean, I like
John,
John's,
I like John's idea too.
that it's an ordinance, yeah.
Yeah, and we've got that ordinance, we got a fine thing, I guess we got a planning zoning regs as well as ordinances that, if somebody's not in compliance with it, we can fine them.
Well. Who would
Yeah.
enforce the ordinance, that's, if it's
Why
not
not?
zoning.
Scott, did you have a question for me?
Yeah, so is there a way to make an ordinance that says that we can't allow people to rent their homes?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you'd have to add some very specific definitions that distinguishes a single family residence for year-round dwelling purposes. But I mean, you get into all kinds of problems there. I start by saying you can do it, but the question is, how thin are you slicing that bologna? Like, are you allowing someone to own two houses and rent one of them on a 12-month, year-round lease to someone else? If the answer is yes, then would you allow a 6-month lease? If the answer is yes, would you allow a 3-month lease? And so, then you get very closely to, a day-by-day lease, which is an Airbnb. The answer is yes, but you've got to be real careful about how you do your definitions, which is, and then you run into, people. Well, I mean, hell, the federal government just passed the law that prohibits corporations from owning over X number of single family residences. So there are ways to do these sorts of laws, but you got to proceed carefully.
Well, looking at it from the economic side, if people can rent out their house for a few $1,000s a week and they can make some money, it's been used as an excuse to not allow hotels in our town because, we have Airbnbs, they can go do that. So I'm kind of conflicted here because somebody has enough money to buy a lake on the house and then want to rent it out. I mean, I think that it's nice to have people visit our town and want to come visit our town. Because,
Yeah, unless you have specific definitions,
right.
The town doesn't usually regulate land ownership. The town regulates land use. So if you have a group of people living there and treating a single family residence as a single family residence, there's only one unit of people there at a time. Who are we to say who they are?
Correct.
But in the same breath, I don't, if I had Jed's house on the lake and the next door neighbor had a Airbnb and you got to listen to a different party once a week, I don't think that I would like that at all. Even if it was just for the summer, I mean, it would ruin your summer. So I can see where Jed's going with that.
Well, then couldn't the Board of Selectmen put a noise ordinance on the lake at 10 o'clock PM on weeknights and then 11 and 12 on the weekends? Would that help?
I don't know, some
I don't know.
people in town might think it should be 9 o'clock, consistent with.
Well, yeah, 9 o'clock, especially weekend, weeknights, and I don't know.
But again, that's a performance standard that should apply to any property, not just a rental property.
And we should have
You
a
know,
noise ordinance, period.
Right. So a property can be a problem property just as easily if it's rented or owned. Like someone can be a bad neighbor regardless.
Correct.
Noise
We
ordinance
can't legislate that, really.
would be clean.
During the summer, you would have, 12 different bad neighbors for the whole summer, right? 12 different weeks, probably.
Yeah, it is, the prevalence is higher, but yeah, you're really talking about performance rather than you're talking about who specifically is there.
Right.
And I mean, towns that do have ordinances can restrict and do restrict the number of occupants per bedroom capacity of the house. So if you had a 4-bedroom house, you can't have more than 8 people, for instance. Like there's rules like that.
I like the idea of seeing what's out there. You don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, maybe you could send us the Essex model, John, and
Yep, I will do that.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Alcoa?
nope,
Hearing none, moving on to item D. I was informed by Wayne, we did not get a letter of intent for an alternate. It was posted in the paper, and I checked with the town clerk that there was also no application submitted there. Should we we'll put it back in the paper? Request?
We could. Technically, I believe that the town charter says it now goes to the Board of Selectmen and they appoint somebody.
That sounds good to me.
yeah, but they're not gonna do that.
Maybe.
We've had, so right now, in the Wetlands has 3 vacancies that have been there for at least 5 years.
What? How could that be?
I think we should try and see if we can't get
Yeah,
I don't know where else we can, I mean, putting a thing in the River East. How much interest is that? We gotta do a better job of broadcasting it. I don't know that we use social media and stuff.
well, I was hoping that we were gonna get one and only one.
I thought we were gonna get one too, but we didn't.
Yeah,
The person that was also trying to get a position, same time I was, they weren't interested in being an alternate, we reached out to them.
don't know.
I got a verbal that person was interested, but they never put it in writing, submitted it, so. Okay, well,
And I can assure you that person knows that alternate position was available.
okay. Well, we can,
Let's
Table that.
re-advertise it and
Okay.
see if we can get some bites.
there was a Mr. Miller on the Zoom that he's no longer with
That
us.
was on there, he's gone now.
All right, moving on. Administrative reports. Mr. Zoning Agent.
We have a new single family residence, zoning permit was issued for 92. I'm losing my mind. The road that bitches on.
Shotty Mill,
No,
Bunker Hill,
Bunker Hill, 92 Bunker Hill. But this is what I wanted the commission to see, this came in, they haven't done anything for it, but there's a proposal to rebrand the Extra Mart as a Honey Farms.
Okay.
Was a what?
A Honey Farms, that's the existing, that's the existing facade, and this is the proposed facade.
Okay.
There's really nothing. No different.
Company?
Is that a brand?
They're rebranding the store.
Oh, they're gonna paint too. Nice.
And paint, add some
What is it called?
architectural features, but. You think,
I'm gonna pass them down.
Is Honey Farms like a chain?
yeah,
Just another.
Okay.
Does look nice.
Same Duncan's.
they're not gonna make any changes to the size, construction, they just wanna rebrand the store.
Okay.
How did it come to be that the other gas station got rid of, blocking all the windows with signs and all that
Hey,
stuff?
you got a good zoning agent.
I took that for granted, but did you reach out to them and?
Yes.
Or did they just decide to clean the windows one day?
Yep.
Nice.
Good job.
To go back to Bunker Hill Road for a second, you said it's 92,
Yeah, that's the number it's gonna be,
a single family home?
single family, yeah.
Where, is that across from what was the Zimmerman's,
Yeah, across from the farm,
that triangular
that
piece?
triangle piece, yeah.
Okay.
Where you see the work, there's been some work going on.
Okay,
They had to do some work to, get it to pass, for the septic system.
okay, thanks. And this, the only thing is it's gonna be a name change,
Yeah,
so
that's,
there's not any,
no, not ownership change or anything like that.
Just sprucing it up.
so there's no additions, no
No,
expansion.
right, no. I don't see any particular issue with it. I just thought I'd bring it to you guys' attention so that if and when it happens, you don't say what's going on at
Mm-hmm.
the Extra Mart.
And I thought it was the new owners of the auto parts. And they were gonna rebrand and put new signage up. That was,
Yes,
guess.
and for the commission's information,
It's kind of not to scale.
the, Andover Auto, the junkyard has changed hands, it's been sold. To a global auto something LLC based in Manchester, Connecticut.
okay.
I have heard nothing from them, nothing's. It doesn't look like there's been any activity there.
But they didn't buy the gravel pit.
They did not, they grabbed
Oh, thank you. I need some.
Don't have space in the back.
the
Gas station.
in the back. Have no idea what their intentions are. I don't even think oh yeah, they just filed the deed, that's how I learned of that.
Sounds good.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, going on to inland wetlands.
Nothing to report.
Okay,
The bridge was approved,
What's that?
the bridge, it was approved.
Yeah.
go ahead, Mr. Town Planner.
So just a couple of recent meetings and proposed meetings, regarding potential housing development. Two separate nonprofits, the Center for Housing Equity and Opportunity and a nonprofit housing developer, both reached out over the last couple of weeks, looking to just meet more town officials, become a little bit more active in this part of East Central Connecticut. So I will be meeting with folks from the Connecticut Center for Housing Opportunity later this week, and folks from the housing development nonprofit next week. May or may not be joined by Town Administrator Streeter, depending on if he participates in the Zooms. Also had a meeting earlier this week with the Capital Region Council of Governments, Krog and their housing development consultant, Goldman and York. The town had back probably a year and a half ago, back during Eric Anderson's administration, participated in a basically request for analysis on town properties around the region that might be suitable for supporting additional housing. And so at the time, Eric submitted basically the town-owned property that is behind the town campus, behind the community center and town hall and the fire station, that large piece that goes all the way up over the hill to the Hop River, or to the Hop River Trail. So met with these consultants earlier this week just to talk about the types of housing that, if the town were to be a partner in housing development, what they would like to see. And we talked mostly about, especially because we're talking basically behind this building. If Mr. Chair, if you look to your right, that's like where we're talking about. It would be, of the approximate scale and density of the Riverside Apartments on the other side of the river by the recreation fields, that housing authority property. And so they're going to sort of look at the general feasibility of maybe adding a little bit of a community back there, just on a conceptual basis. But that was sort of a legacy project that Eric had pursued. Again, no obligations, no nothing. Just they're going to kind of sketch some stuff out and see what it looks like. And then lastly, did have some follow-up discussions with the folks that are looking to develop the Lindholm Corner area. To just talk through some of the zoning changes that they would need to make. And they were under an odd assumption that the town would be taking the lead on making some of these zoning changes. And I said, no, absolutely not. Wayne and I would be happy to review their proposals and make sure that it fit with the intent of the zoning regulations and also achieved the sort of development approach and density that they were looking for. We're happy to review, but we're definitely not taking the lead on proposing those zoning changes. So just having those conversations with them. So hopefully they're sharpening their pencils and come up with a proposal sooner than later.
What was this, John, about? They're talking about the town building the roads or something?
There was a question of whether or not, if the internal driveways or access ways to access the various townhouse phases or townhouse units would be, if it would be like a traditional residential development, that it would essentially be town streets, or whether they would be essentially private drives, apartment driveways. And I don't think that issue is resolved. And depends on how you define frontage and whether these things need to have direct frontage on a municipal street, and if that is necessary for bus access. There are some of those questions that I think are still need to be resolved in their design process.
Fire trucks, buses.
Yeah. I mean, a commercial residential driveway, should have no problem accommodating emergency vehicles as well as buses. But there's also probably a municipal policy about buses not going up private driveways. Even so, if there were kids in the apartment complexes off of Shoddy Mill, does a bus go up that driveway? Probably not. They probably just pick them up at the intersection with the road, right at the end of their driveway. Those are considerations they'd have to figure out.
And also, after review, the Whispering Hills is privately maintained, and so is the ones down by the ball fields. Those are all
that's maintained by a management company. Yeah.
So I think the precedent's there, that because I think it'd be unfair to the town for us to have to maintain their roads.
Well, I mean, it's sort of your subdivision process. If you build a new road to town road standard, then it would have to be approved by either the selectmen or town meeting, depending on how your charter goes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like the main road's called Rosewood, whatever it is, Lane.
Right, but
and they also had put on their proposal, like their planning ideas, that we would be, the town would be maintaining their fire ponds and such as well, which I also think would fall on the property owner.
Yeah. So
But that's
those are,
fine.
there's a lot of details that need to be worked out there.
There's a lot to be resolved, but to the road issue, there are standards for road construction in the subdivision regulations that they would have to meet, which,
It's different than the ideas presented so far. Because they,
well, they didn't present any idea, they just had a black line.
right,
But the subdivision regulations specify with the fill compacted, all that technical stuff
Mhm.
as far as
Drainage.
how you build a road, right?
So
in
at
the right
any
way.
rate, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. All right. Moving on to public speaking. Any other topics, concerns not on the agenda that we didn't get?
Just a quick question, does anyone know if the White's Tavern sold or was it taken off the market?
The,
The
On Hutchinson
the
Road,
Buddhist,
across
Oh,
from the
the-
plaza.
the historic house.
I don't know if it was taken, well, the sign's gone, yeah, I don't know. Somebody, another individual from the temple was in asking questions about. Potentially using the existing house now for housing the monks. Which I said, yeah, I mean, you could do that, you just gotta. You know, do the renovation and then. You could probably do that shouldn't be a problem.
Did you say
I-
monks? You have monks in town?
Yeah,
Well, not residing currently, but
No, they just have,
they come visit.
yeah, they have a. They have a Buddha there and every now and then you'll see a gathering there of,
I thought we were told at one
Parishioners.
point a while ago that there was gonna be one person living in the house. But that's not particularly recent, I mean,
It's my understanding the house is really not livable right now.
that's really a shame, because I noticed when it was, if anybody saw it posted online, there were no pictures of the interior.
Inside of it, no?
No,
That's a shame, I've never been in it, but my great grandparents used to own it, and it's obviously a very old
right.
house, and if it's that bad inside.
The questions that I got revolved around, is that historical? That needs, you know, has the town designated that as historical and then therefore you have to comply with a whole series of regulations regarding. Historical property, and we don't have any. Historical district or anything like that. Even though that. Was that house, Rochambeau? Tavern?
That's a historical, it's on a historical society's site. Yeah, it's definitely on that.
We
The
don't have-
register, the register.
Right, we don't have any regulations that specify,
No, but they do.
they do?
I would say that the register has some kind of things about, whether they wanted to tear it down or what, if they can live in it. I'm sure the Busks were living in it for many years.
I was just curious, maybe we'll hear something
Okay.
between now and next month.
I had one other thing, how about the Rosewood? The state, did they do an assessment on the aquifer level, if it could take that much water usage?
That's something that.
Well,
I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but I mean, isn't that something, there again, that goes to my third party. Consult, we can ask that they do that study and present it to us,
Yeah,
that they provide us that information.
well, if I may, they did state that they were going to be having the land tested. And I did observe testing company over at the property. So in order for them to pass health code for what they wanna do, they would have to get all that stuff done ahead of time. And if it doesn't meet the Eastern Highlands Health District requirements, they won't be able to go as big as they want or whatever, they'll have to scale it accordingly.
does that assessment include water usage, because I think.
Yes,
Yeah, the neighbors might be pretty upset if they,
Well, to my understanding, if I'm not mistaken, all of Andover is on one ginormous aquifer. But I could be wrong. That's what was explained to me a long time ago, but. Like I said, I could be wrong. I mean, but
yeah, it's just something else to do.
They have a tremendous amount of engineering they have to go through,
correct, yes.
tremendous.
But to your point, that's why we would ask for these fees to pay an outside engineer to double check.
To evaluate all that stuff.
But it also wouldn't be in their best interest to build a whole bunch of apartments and then 6 years down the road, run out of water. Then their investment will, they won't be able to rent, really, so.
Assuming that they're gonna hold on to it. I'm not gonna-
Right, correct, well. Yes,
But we're speculating right now,
yes, we
and we
are,
really shouldn't be doing that.
it's a part of the discussion, we're not making limitations or
Right.
requirements because we don't. Like you said, this is speculation.
I would just hate to say that someone said that the commission was prejudging there,
Oh, yeah,
and we're not, we're just brainstorming.
correct. Thank you for clarifying.
That's a good word, brainstorming.
Alrighty, let's go to the minutes.
On page 2, Parson Miners comment, said we would encourage to learn towards, I think, and lean towards. More studio and one bedroom units there.
And I don't know if you need a motion for, I just had two small things. One is on the first page under number item 5, it says EHHD, and then I think it appears somewhere else. I don't know if it's under the same topic or not, but I assume that's Eastern Highlands Health District. If we could just spell that out. Just because if you're reading this, I mean, I had to read it several times to figure it out, and I'm kind of used to it, so just if somebody was reading it for reference who didn't know that. I mean, that comes into play.
It's the proper way of doing it is to spell it out, abbreviate it later.
Yeah, just that's what I mean, just it's so when somebody comes across it again, they can say, oh. I see that that's what that means. And then under number 6B. The next to the last sentence, it says. Schedule public hearing for the special permit application for July 8th.
Yeah, that
I
was,
think it's meant to say today's date.
Yep.
Take a look at this photo from Granby.
I heard some. Is there somebody out there?
Was there a motion on the minutes yet?
not yet.
Not yet.
I'll move to approve the minutes, with the corrections that have been suggested.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Alright. Thank you very much, everybody, and the next regular scheduled meeting is August 18th. And thank you very much for all of your hard work. And all in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye. Have a great night,
55.
8:55. Wayne.